Hello, it's good to be with you this morning. We're sorry we're not able to be with you in person. Alison Fenton and I were going to be coming to each of the parishes where someone was going to be ordained deacon, and we were going to talk a bit about what that might mean. But we're not able to do that this year. So we thought we'd put something together that could be shown in each of the churches. My name's Peter Clement. I'm involved in the discernment, the selection and the placement of curates. And I'm with my colleague
Alison Fenton, and I'm involved in the training of curates. I like to say that it's my job to train the curates, but it's not really. Don't let me get away with it. The training of curates happens in parishes with training ministers, and I think I just manage the programme, really.
This is about a learning community. This is an important thing, that this is not just someone is being ordained and is coming to you. Of course, some people you will know well. Some parishes are having people who've been there a long time. For others, it will be people who are new, who are coming from the outside. But this is about the parish being a learning community and a good place to train.
Yeah, that's right. It's really important to us as we select places for people to train, that they're going to get a broad experience, that they're going to be allowed to take some risks, and they're going to be looked after. Curates come, it's a huge step for many of our curates, especially those that are moving into the area from elsewhere, and they want to be part of a community that loves them, that they can love, but also that loves them, and will tolerate their mistakes and allow them to spread their wings and to take some risks.
So Alison, if we were going into different parishes at different weeks, we would have had different readings set each time, wouldn't we? But in that we're not going to do that, what were the readings that you would like to talk about today?
I chose two readings, both of which avoid the gospel, because I thought whoever's watching this might be listening to the gospel of the day. And the two readings were Acts 6, the first few verses of Acts 6, I think it's 1 to 7, 2 to 7, and Isaiah 6, 1 to 6. Yeah.
Because the Isaiah reading is often used in the ordination service itself, isn't it? Not always, but it is, and it talks about going into the temple, and it has that bit at the end, who will go? So I'll go, send me. Is that what the reading's about?
Yes, it is. Whom shall I send? Send me. But I think that's a little bit more than that. The going into the temple, excuse me, for whoever Isaiah was at that moment, was about seeing God in his glory in the temple for the first time. And there's a sense for the first time that Isaiah just understands the awesomeness of God in this place of worship, and then feels his own inadequacy. And God takes the burning coal and touches his lips, and there he knows himself to be forgiven. So, of course, the response then to the question, whom shall I send? Having experienced the glory of God and the forgiveness of God, of course, Isaiah says, here I am, send me. And I think that's really important, because I think quite a lot of the people that are going to be ordained this year, well, every year, are people that have responded both to the glory of God and the forgiveness of God.
So when somebody goes to a parish, be it the same parish or a new parish, there's something about supporting that person in this new role, isn't there? Something about possibly helping them to create boundaries, but there's also something to do with taking risks, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. And I think even more than taking risks, it's about doing things together. You know, that response, here I am, send me, is a real humble response in the face of a glorious God. And I think everybody in our churches has said, here I am, send me, to some extent, at some time. And so I think here we are together humbly, trying to listen to God and respond to God's forgiveness in the world. Yeah.
And what was the Acts reading that you chose?
So the Acts is the first few verses at the beginning of Acts 6. It's the story of the choosing of the first deacons. Some scholars think it was about presbyters, but I think it was about deacons, because there were people specifically set aside for hospitality to serve the tables rather than to go out. And it names the 7. And it says that the gathered community laid hands on them and set them aside for that task. I love that idea that they prayed for them and gave them authority by setting them aside for that task of hospitality. It feels like a very diaconate sort of ministry.
And there's an important message there, isn't there, about that this isn't to do with somebody being asked to do something because they're really good or better than other people or something like that. That's not what it's about. This is about people being set aside to do a particular role, but reminding all of us that it's actually the church that has that commission to be a servant or to be a shepherd, as a deacon, as a priest, and dare to model that in some way.
Yes, it's not a standing on a pedestal, is it? It's a stepping forward maybe and saying, "Come with me." It's a joining in sort of ministry that needs to be done with the body, with the whole body of Christ.
So what do we need? What was the message we'd like to get across now about what people need to do? Perhaps to pray. That's the first thing, I guess.
I think praying for the people is really important. I think there's something about hospitality. So especially if you've got a deacon curate moving into your area for the first time, really think about how that might feel. What might they need? What practical things could you do to make that moving, that transition a little bit easier for individuals and for families?
And we want to encourage people to go to the ordination service, don't we?
Oh, of course. And then you see God in his temple, and maybe you get to lay hands on the people that are being ordained as those people in Act 60. Of course, that doesn't sound very Cumbrian, does it? But you might get to shake their hands anyway at the end of the service.
So that's Saturday, the 26th of September, 2:30 at our cathedral. And to go there to expect things to happen, or even if this year, I don't know how it's going to work, we'll have to see, but even if everybody can't go there, to still expect God to move, to expect God to act, so that we allow God's Spirit to move in us, but to certainly be at the ordinations if at all possible. Very important thing.
That's great. Thank you, Peter. So I just wanted to say thank you for listening to us. We're very sorry not to have come to you in your church and to meet you personally. You can invite us to come later in the year. We'd be very willing to do that. But in the meanwhile, we wanted to tell you that we're praying for you and for your curates to be, for the deacons, for the training ministers. And we really pray that God will bless you in this time.